Which in plain English means don't be an asshole to others because one day they might be assholes towards you. When it comes to understanding yourself, your character, your history, what makes you tick and what drives you in life, the things that you hold grudge against and the things that motivate you, you always have to look back to analyze the past, where everything began and the things that formed you into the individual that you are today. And how can we talk about the past without mentioning parenting? Nothing influences our development as much as parents. They have the authority to praise us and they have the authority to discipline us. And the way they do those things will define your ways of looking at things in life.
Invariably, when I lecture about self-esteem, in the question and answer period, somebody's going to get up and say, what can we do to give our children self-esteem? My stock answer is, it's contagious. Right? If parents will have good self-confidence, a good self-esteem, the children will pick it up. If parents go around feeling failures, insecure, the children will pick that up. So the first thing I say is work on your own self-esteem.
This is such a profound observation. It does always work to analyze parents in order to understand who the children are. Not trying to be condescending, but I'm sure that many of you have noticed dorky parents followed by dorky looking children. It sounds like I have my own children, which I don't, but I know one or two things about psychology of human beings. One thing I'm quite sure about is that it doesn't matter how you try to lecture your children about the toughness of life or different choices that they have to make and the responsibilities that they have to undertake in order to progress in life. Doesn't matter. You have to show them what life is about. They don't listen to what you do. They always do what you do yourself. So telling to your child that smoking cigarettes or doing drugs or drinking too much is not good for your health or not good for your reputation in public, if you are doing the same thing, they will follow your steps. Childhood is a massive time for exploration, especially for boys. Being rebellious is their way of trying to discover what different things in life represent, and in the meantime trying to uncover who they are, how they respond to different things, how they react to different situations, and how they behave themselves with other people. By being very restrictive, by forbidding this and that, you rob them the opportunity to understand the nature of life. And as an example from my personal life, I could bring up the fact that whenever my parents would say that I should be at home at a certain time period, I would always subconsciously feel unease. And of course, I'm not implying that parents have to cut loose their children and let them do whatever they want. Children are always trying to stretch their limits, and a parent's job is to regulate those limits and guide them into the direction as little harmful as possible. Because let's face it, harm will always be there. They have to burn themselves in order to understand that fire is nothing to play with. But they have to do their own mistakes, at least until they become a little bit more mature and have the capacity for abstract thinking and trying to analyze other people and not do the same mistakes. Diminishing their sense of freedom will always contribute to their lack of self-esteem. If my parents don't trust me, that means that I'm a lousy person with a very low potential.
And then there are techniques about how to help children develop self-esteem. You can't give it to them, but you can make it possible for them. For example, we have to discipline children. Otherwise, they grow up to be wild animals, right? But you can discipline them without hurting them, right? And giving them an opportunity to feel good about themselves. I have a beautiful little story about that.
For some reason, disciplinary work is always associated with child abuse, which is not true. That's not what he means. He means that you have to praise them when necessary and lecture them when they have done something very wrong. If you want them to grow to become great citizens, that is. Many people don't understand what living in societies imply. First and foremost, it's a form of cooperation. So you have to have somewhat a good sense of empathy. Don't do to others something that you don't want to be done to you, which in plain English means don't be an asshole to others because one day they might be assholes towards you.
Right. What happened was, when I was a 10-year-old, I was a chess champion, and I could beat anybody. Well, we had a rabbi staying with us for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah afternoon, he comes up to me and says, "You want to play chess?"
Rosh Hashanah is like a Jewish New Year, and I guess they are not allowed to do certain things during that time. Like during Ramadan for Muslims, they are not even allowed to drink water.
I said, "It's Rosh Hashanah." He says, "So you're not to play chess on Rosh Hashanah. What's wrong with that?" I played 2 games and I beat him soundly both times. Later that evening, shamus, the sexton, comes over and he says, the rabbi wants to see you in the study. So I came in, my father was looking in the volume of whatever, and I stood there waiting to be recognized, and he let me stand there for a while. Then he looks up at me and he said, you played chess on Rosh Hashanah? I said, yeah, the rabbi said we're allowed to. He didn't say a word. He looked back into his book and that's all. I knew, yes, technically you're allowed to. But Rosh Hashanah is a solemn day. It's not a game day. It's not a day. So I got the message and I stood there waiting to be dismissed. And to be dismissed, he would say, "Geh gesundheit," you can leave. Right? So I'm waiting for that. So he looks up at me and he says, you beat him?
It reminds me of the time when we have fights in school. And you know how it is. You have to be called to principal's office. They contact your parents and tell how bad of a child you are and tell that you are not disciplined and should be taken care of. Of course, your parents should always take the side with the principal. This one time, my father was the one to take care of me instead of the mother. You know how females are very much in line with societal norms and stuff like that. But the father, if you kicked some bully's ass, he will always side with you. Did you beat him? And then hopefully you would say, of course I did.
I said twice, "Geh gesundheit." You see, he had to tell me that he didn't approve of what I did, right? But I was not going to leave the room feeling bad about myself. And that is the trick of good discipline. Discipline your children in a way that you'll correct them and let them know what's wrong and what's right, but don't make them feel that they're bad, even if they did something wrong.
What it means that you have to be cautious of robbing them of their sparkle, of their inner fire. You have to tell them what is right and wrong in a very rational manner, without bringing out emotions into that conversation, which sadly enough has happened a lot of times to me, where parents get very emotional and they side with others but you and start bitching about this and that you betrayed their trust and now people would think some bad stuff about them, unloading all the bullshit that they had in themselves on their children, which is never a good way to go. Self-esteem is fostered from very early ages, and having this in mind, you know how to dig up old bullshit from your past, resolve it and let it go. And this is exactly one of the greatest ways to process your old baggage. Dig up old dirt, wash it off and move on with your life. Abraham Tversky was a cool guy. Unfortunately, he passed away 2021. I've done some commenting on his wisdom previously, and you can check these videos here. What was the best way for you to work on your self-esteem? Tell me in the commentary section. But for now, Hossein, out.